how real can the trainees and us, the facilitators, get with our felt experience. So again, for those of you who aren't there, this means we're talking about a level of emotional intensity. That it's like this intense pressure cooker where, unlike any other place I've ever been, you know, like Mitch, you were talking earlier about the Jung Institute. You go to an event at the Jung Institute, and you sit, all kind of like how all you are sitting right now. You sit in these chairs. Actually, their chairs are more comfortable than what you got now, but it's better to sleep in, right?
Yeah.
But everyone, as Mitch, you were invoking, in this heterosexist environment is. They are in this completely, it seems to me at least, defended, cordial, pseudo-psychological attitude. I'm sure that everyone in that room, just as I imagine you are and I know I am, is having a whole range of feelings. Inferiority, toxic shame, hurt, rage. Why can't I be more articulate? I feel angry with myself right now, that I can't be more articulate. I feel angry at my parents that I have to struggle to be present up here, that I still struggle with projection, as both of you have invoked, in terms of what is it like to actually allow all of you to kind of relate to me and look at me without me experiencing you as hostile. So in the actual training program, we're creating a space where the trainees can open up to the full intensity of their feelings, the full intensity of their hatred, the full intensity of their hurt rage, the full intensity of their trauma feelings, of terror, and also trying to break through the defenses of anxiety and shame and guilt, so that we can actually invoke a real feeling, what it's like to be alive in our bodies and be awake to all of our feelings. Again, even as I say that, I can struggle with my own right to talk to you right now. So there's a way that the shame attacks me, which is a violence in me, that there's this constant self-attack about, can I speak? How can I be present here for you? And for myself. I really liked what you said, Chris, about how this experience, now I know you've been involved in doing forms of gay-centered interwork for over 30 years now, and for me it's been almost 20 years, about 20 years now. There's something just really remarkable about this training program as I experience it. There's this coalescence and coherence of a kind of a rigorousness, a dedication. I feel like everybody involved, I've never seen anything like this, where everybody involved is really completely committed. You know, each trainee, because of confidentiality, where I can't talk individually about the actual experience that goes on in the room, each trainee has different levels of struggle and engagement, as is the nature of any individual group process. But my overall sense, so far in the past 4 months, has been this really actual remarkable commitment and dedication that everyone shows up every week to get into the worst possible feelings that they can possibly get into, and shows up every week and really makes a good effort to do that. And then, as you've been hearing, then we have supervision after that hour-and-a-half process, sometimes lasting longer than an hour and a half, or sometimes whatever, 2 hours, where we are engaging and reviewing what happened in detail and our own experiences around what happened and our own struggle to partner our own inferiority. Chris, you invoked that really nicely around how can I recognize where my violence in terms of my toxic shame that tries to shut me down makes it difficult for me to really fully engage with the trainees. So it's a constant effort to stand up to that toxic shame and say, fuck you to the toxic shame, so that I can be more and more present with the trainees. In that sense, continually getting fried as I'm engaging the trainees and helping them to fry themselves and fry each other around fry. What do I mean by fry? to kind of push each other into the most traumatic feelings, so that we can actually burn and be alive in that burning. The more we can burn through those feelings, maybe the more that we can have access to positive feelings, to get turned on, like you were invoking, Chris, around gay spirit. To feel turned on and alive in our bodies, because the defenses and the trauma feelings are constantly preventing us from actually giving ourselves permission to be alive in our bodies. So, so one thing that's been happening for me, I just find that there's this remarkable, almost organic process as this training program is coalescing in a momentum that has been building that is just remarkable, because it's relentless, it's inexorable, it's week after week after week after week after week after month, now 4 months, and we're going to do, the plan right now is 4 years. We'll see how that develops.
Just for this group.
Yeah, just for this group, right? So there's this just unbelievable momentum that I feel that is beginning, not just beginning, but it's sort of already fully engaged. It's just remarkable, and mostly remarkable because it's so amazingly gay. It's so gay that, so far right now it is all gay men. I hope that eventually we'll be able to encourage and find ways to engage lesbians more immediately and directly. Chris is giving me a tip about my... Thank you.
What's that?
That is... I think that when I get genuinely excited and turned on, that the other forces, the defenses come in and attack me. And then I kind of automatically get into a defensive place. So I get seized up around the defenses. It's that hard to have permission to be excited. Because in my family, if I was excited about being turned on, about being homosexual, that was an attack on my mother and father. That was a terrible attack on them. Actually, that was really helpful, thank you. Chris just kind of smiled, I don't know if you noticed, Chris just kind of smiled at me when I was getting seized up and a little hysterical.
And that's something.
Yeah.
You're saying it's not just that you can help the guys come out with their stuff. You're seeing they're coming out with it. That's a whole mirroring business. They see it, others see it, they see others seeing it.
Yes.
They see others seeing them,
Yes.
seeing them.
Yes.
That's a big part of it.
Yes. This, what we're calling
processes. That processes the thing that doesn't get processed when it's just silently unfelt.
Right.
So the full feeling is what you're alluding to. How does one feel and experience?
Yes.
Especially you're alluding to old traumatic experiences, the experiences that were never fully experienced. They weren't experienced in an experiential way that works them through, which includes inner body levels and also interpersonal levels that should have happened with the child originally. This would be the bad experiences, but instead of the child stuff it, as you know, you have to go through a version of that. You have to stuff it in silence, usually, about forever after, except with the covert recreations that go on in so-called romance. And when things are in person, romance, right? They get what they pay for. People usually get what we pay for, right? In terms of romance. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you say romance, Mitch, because this feels so much better than what my experiences of romance have been.
What feels better?
The interpersonal core process of actually engaging in this homosexual brotherhood, of this core process of facilitating these trainees as they get into their most horrific hateful feelings. The authenticity of that actually feels so much better and so much just more real and alive than my earlier attempts in life to have a boyfriend and be in love, this kind of merger, codependent kind of.
You have that with the dogs and everything, multiple
Yes. Yeah. The point is not here to knock romance. The point here is how difficult it is to achieve real romance when you're as traumatized as I am, and as I think in varying ways each of us is.
You're queerly suggesting there's something romantic about this heat and power and goofiness that gets cooked in the training and your own struggle and with the trainees and what it's trying to bring out and engage. And something like how opera is romantic and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe a bigger sense of the word romantic than just
Aren't so many operas though? I don't know an opera. So many operas, Western operas, related to people's issues around love and stuff like that. And usually they're hidden agendas, like in, La Boheme, the guy's always imagining a chick he's jealous. He's jealous, he's playing around with who knows who, and she's never playing around with anyone. Right? He has it now. That's a stupid story. Oh, screaming. So at first it seems either bizarre or operatic, but it might be actually going on in the training sessions. So it's not scripted. Except by past patterns, of course, which are the issue as well as how things might come out. Aha, that's kids me. I'm just throwing things out of the blue.
That's great. Yeah.
Would you like to add any more?
Well, one more piece here, which is I feel like there's some way that this training program for me personally feels somehow more organic than some of the earlier projects that I've done for the Institute. And I had a whole series of workshops, I guess you'd call them, that I did 33. Dustin was with me on several of those. There's something about this process now, I guess partly because there were always limits when we did those public workshops that were originally geared about gay affirmative psychotherapy, and we had a more professional focus background attempting that, which we actually did move away from as the process went. But there's something now about, also there's another comparison, which is informally, for some of you know about this, for many, many years there was a monthly screamer group.
Long time ago, where we get into a rehearsal studio, up to 20 of us, some of you were there, for about 3 hours and really get into it. So, but it's remarkable now to see the progress from those different events, as valuable as they were extremely valuable for me, as I think for others, to see now a whole new level of supervision, of rigorousness, of cohesion, of intention, that is creating for me at least, and I think for the trainees, a whole new experience of engagement around what does it mean to be really authentic, and what does it mean to process, to move through trauma towards a fuller experience of homosexual wholeness, to integrate all these different parts of myself. So in that sense, it feels to me like there's a spirit of the training program. The training program is its own spirit, it seems to me. It's really remarkable, actually. That I find such an amazing turnaround, actually. Really amazing. Sounds like much more of a place to put your energy than, for example, bar hopping or cruising on the internet.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. Wow. Sounds like very interesting. Okay, well, let's go on then, and then maybe we'll see if anyone's having any of you having reactions, and the rest of you, what you're sharing, if you don't blurt it out right now, I'll invite you after it's finished. Before we then invite you all to have more of a back and forth. So we've got plenty of time. It's only 8:15, so there's plenty to rush. Anything, but I guess you'll get the spot one now better.
Oh no!
Oh yes, I saw those notes.
I wrote some
That's a
notes.
nasty comment I made earlier. Didn't seem to be a comment. But people should be with how they're feeling.
Oh, yes, yes, I heard that. I heard that. And I immediately felt ashamed about the notes. Although, I'm not even going to look at the notes right now. I thought actually the notes are totally a defense. Really what is coming up as Chris is talking and Roger's talking, and you're introducing the context of the evening, is I should probably talk about my core process. And if I weren't going to talk about my core process, I would have to talk about my core process because the feelings that are coming up right now are so overwhelming and painful, but almost multi-layered. Like it's almost hard to keep track of them. There's one feeling on top of another feeling on top of another feeling, and I am actually sitting here struggling with trying to figure out how to make sense of it all and how to feel it. Because what we're trying to help the trainees get in touch with, which is what's going on in the felt moment, which is so fucking hard to do. It's also